Yeah, both times when I injured my voice, I felt the warning signs. I was just encouraged to ignore them. I was just told, oh, don't worry about it. But I knew something wasn't right. They were like, oh, it's normal. So I said, I guess everybody feels this way, you know, and I just let
Yeah.
it go. Yeah.
What would you say the best thing is for someone who is experiencing some of those signs? Like, what is the number one thing they need to do? Do they need to like be silent for a year? Would you say correct the technique so that these signs go away? Like in the early stages of these things, what would you say the most important thing would be?
Well, luckily, if you catch it early, almost any kind of vocal injury, the only exception I would say is with vocal fold hemorrhage. If you happen to have a hemorrhage, you'll know. There's no mistaking it. You will know this. You have to go on vocal rest. You can't go right into vocal therapy. You need to let it heal. Even with good technique, if your vocal folds have hemorrhage, you just need to take a break for however many weeks, see your ENT and have them check with the laryngoscope to see what's going on. But for other things like nodules, polyps, usually in the early stages, if you catch it early, like 2 weeks of vocal rest followed by vocal therapy with the proper techniques is good. Like I've seen people come from some pretty severe cases. Like my entry into being a vocal coach was unusual in that I had severe cases from my first several clients. So I didn't start off with just, okay, Jimmy, we're going to do some voice lessons like in the neighborhood or something. No, I had students from, my first student was a major label recording artist who had nodules. My first one. I really wasn't qualified, and I told them so repeatedly. But they insisted that because I was still a student, I didn't even have my degree yet. But she could barely speak, and in a few weeks we got her performing again, singing better than ever. So I know that if you can let go of the excessive muscle tension, and if you can manage breath pressure better by holding back breath with the body. And I also am a fan, I know this is debated too, I am a fan of developing a mix. I do think it's important. My gripe with a lot of teachers today is that that's all they focus on, and I think they ignore the rest of the instrument. But I do think that without having a good blend of the registers, you're going to run a high risk of injuring your voice. So that needs to be done too. And the good thing is that can be done at very soft volumes and still, so this can kind of tie into the third exercise. An exercise I think that's very effective for healing a voice. And this is not a substitute for seeing a doctor, but if the doctor has cleared you to vocalize, is doing what we call a tiny ooh or a buzzy ooh, where you make the mouth very small.
Like
And try to
siren.
get like, yeah, and you're sirening through a very tiny mouth opening. You can even increase the resistance with the, and the body will respond. It takes pressure off your voice and it helps to stretch and thin the vocal cords. It's extremely restorative to the voice and it's not particularly powerful in the moment. But ironically, I do this with all my classical students and my rock singers. Like people want to sing big, and my Broadway clients. It really helps to bring the bigness out of the voice, even though it's not particularly big in the moment. And so it's extremely effective, and it's also very therapeutic. It has kind of a massaging effect upon the vocal folds, and it just works really well. I think it's something that every singer would probably benefit from doing every day, really. But the other thing too with this, it also helps to highlight weak spots in the chord. So what will often happen is a student will go, ooh, Eric is causing problems. Because look, I can blend, I can blend on but ooh, it's making me break. It's not making you break. It's more so exposing the lack of elasticity and strength in the chords. And so I find that if you can blend through that tiny opening, or even sometimes, this is kind of advanced, but I'll use like a coffee stirrer kind of straw. Yeah, it balances out the register so well, and it's so healthy for your voice. It's just really healthy. But I would start with just the lips first, because this can be really challenging for like a beginner or somebody who's recovering from injury. But
So you're just blowing through that with an ooh, or what do you do?
yes, and so I would probably let's say that, like, obviously you're a more experienced person, but let's pretend you were a beginner, and I would say, okay, let's pick
Yeah.
a regular size straw, and we're gonna sing
Yeah.
ooh, but through the straw. The length of the straw and the smallness of it helps to take pressure off the chords, basically. Or, and this happens a lot, if a student is singing a song, why am I so emotional? Da 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 da. Deep down I know. I can't think of words right now, but the point is, I would go, or deep down I know. It helps to take the pressure off of the throat and put it in the right place, and you'll feel the body respond. It helps to build natural compression, and so you can kind of work through. Darling, I will be loving you till 70. You know, it's not amazing in the moment, but it helps a lot. And as you get stronger, you can do smaller straws, and you'll feel, especially if you want to find the bigger parts of your voice, without feeling like you're pushing with all your might, and so it really makes it makes a big difference. So Dr. Ingo Tietz has done a lot of work. He's a American doctor. I think he's American. I think he is. I might be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. But he's done a lot of research. I just realized that he sounds like it when he talks, but a lot of people can affect the accent. But he's done a lot of research on how singing through straws and using, semi-occlusion, how it's so healthy. But a lot of these are like, they've been used by the Swedish Italian school classically. They have like a long history of being powerfully rehabilitative tools. But I use them for prevention. I sing about 8 hours a day, which I don't necessarily recommend, but I have a lot of clients that I see every day. I travel a lot and teach a lot of workshops, and I just need my voice all the time, and so I can't really do vocal rest, and so I use oohs and straws to kind of keep my voice stretched out and alive, especially if I'm doing a lot. So I kind of break a lot of the rules with that.